Speaking of investing, I'd like to bring to the stage next a really special entrepreneur. She is, as I've met her mother, now I'm beginning to understand even more why Lee Moser is special. She is somebody that has just a unique energy about her. So when you encounter Lee and when you get to know her as a person, you realize that you're in the presence of somebody very special. And then it becomes really obvious why she's been so successful. Is because she has an intelligence and a leadership and a fearlessness which is combined with a kind of compassion, humility, and positivity, which is just infectious and contagious. And so we at Viva are really lucky to be working with her. Lee and her partner Roy. Roy is going to be speaking tomorrow. Roy and Lee are good friends of Viva. They're based out of Tel Aviv. We love Tel Aviv. Startup Nation has a lot to give to the world, and so we have lots of people from Tel Aviv and Israel here today. One of Israel's most important entrepreneurs, a good friend, would you please welcome Lee Moser to the stage? Lee.
Yeah. Wow, I don't think I have to speak. Thank you. So happy to be here and excited. Thank you, Julie, Chris, Alex, Daniel, the team that organized this conference. It's just amazing. We were speaking yesterday about, Julie, your ability of bringing not just smart, super sophisticated people together, but also very nice people that have great approach to understanding and learning. So I feel very lucky to be here and be your partner and be Viva's partner. Hi, I'm Lee. I'm going to talk about backing entrepreneurs and kind of thinking maybe about my own journey as an entrepreneur, of who backed me up and how did we get to fund AnD Ventures, which is an early stage VC fund investing in Israeli very early stage technologies. So a little bit about myself. I started as a tour guide. Yeah. When I was 18 in the Israeli army, did it for almost 8 years, gave me a lot of confidence of standing up in front of group, learning history, and really value the place that I'm coming from and where it is today, which is Israel, and I'll talk a little bit about Israel. Finished that, moved to Washington, D.C., was the chief of staff for the Israeli ambassador in Washington, D.C., Meyer, where I basically started building my own network of people that helped me through the years. I've been there for 4 years, Obama-Netanyahu period, very interesting, very challenging. And there, you know, there is sometimes conflict of talking about Israel, right? It's not only entrepreneurship and tech. And there in DC, every place I go, you know, talking about Iran or the Palestinians or the conflict, there was one thing that was basically everyone agreed on that Israel is best on, and that technology. And during those 4 years, I understand that to be able to really influence not on just small community on the world, this is where I want to focus, this is where I need to focus, where I think Israelis are top in the world of creating new technology that actually changing millions and hundreds of millions of people's life. Social mobility, finance. Vashi talked about how we need to look at our employees and understand what they care about. If it's salary, if it's culture, if it's people, if it's the vision itself. And you see now in Israel many technologies that help you monitor basically what your employee wants, when they're about to leave, when they need a promotion. So basically technology help us change universe, not just world. So I came back to Israel. I had no financial experience, so I went to BlackRock, worked with them for 2 years, and then really kind of target of how do I get into this VC world, startup world, moved to iAngels, which is, I think today, one of the biggest platform of angel investors in the world, invested in more than, I think, 120 startups, $300 million asset under management, was there for 5 years as a partner, learned the ecosystem very well, because when you work on a platform, you see many entrepreneurs, you see thousands of investors, and that's where I kind of got the idea, okay, what we're going to do next? How can we be better with our entrepreneurs? How can we support our founders better to really build companies that will change universe, will change industry, but eventually will change lives of people and help people be better. So, a year and a half ago, in March, we decided to build AnD Ventures. It was the 1st of March, before the COVID actually struck the world. And I met Roy. We had an anchor investor from Australia. He was like, yeah, you should do it. I'm going to back the fund. Yeah, you should resign and start your own fund. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it now. Then after 2 weeks, COVID has happened. The world was collapsing. Uncertainty is really the word to describe what happened there, which, by the way, I love uncertainty. Just let me live in uncertainty. Let me come less to the airport. Right, Roy? Just let me do that, and this is my comfort zone. And I got a phone call. I was like, Lee, listen, I have a business of hotels. I don't know. I advise you to go and buy gold. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and buy. Well, I stood there. I called Roy, and I was like, oh, we have a little problem. Sorry that you left Google. And that's where I think, magic start happen. We basically start working on the idea. And as I say, I'm a big believer in relationships. So I called one of my closest friends and partner that actually sits in the audience, and I said, listen, I have a great idea. I have a great partner. Yeah, I know it's super visionary. We want to build a company builder-based fund and really support the entrepreneur from minus day one. And they supported us. And they gave us kind of the first leap of faith, which I believe we want to give for our entrepreneurs of building the business. And this is how we started AnD. So everything is changing, moving faster. When we found AnD, we really felt that kind of, having this investor moving on faster needed to build something that will fit the entrepreneurs of today. By the way, I don't know what will be in 10 years, and the entrepreneurs of the 10 years is like the millennials of today, but it's going to be much, much, much faster. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, so this year and a half of COVID, from tech point of view and different ideas, was extraordinary. Focusing on Israel, but also in the rest of the world. And we basically, Israel has 40 new unicorns, which unicorns a company that valued more than $1 billion, which is crazy because in the whole history of Israel, we didn't have 40. So basically, looking at entrepreneurs today, they're not aiming to the moon, they're aiming to the galaxy. So how do we do that? And this is a little bit of the companies that Israel produced in the last years, especially this year, that become unicorns. $1 billion is not a thing anymore. They want to be like eToro, the biggest financial trading platform in the world that's now valuing $10.4 billion. They want to be like Papaya Global, that actually took an idea, an amazing woman entrepreneur, by the way, and not Gaz, and they say, okay, companies are becoming more global. They don't know the rules around the world about, employee well-being, benefit, and employee rules in general. Why won't we create a platform that companies can basically find everything through us and employ people all around the world? And they grew from, 200 million to 3 billion in a year. How do we take this scene and actually make it better and actually build companies that are lasting forever? And by the way, we were very fortunate to know some of these entrepreneurs when they started, very fortunate to invest in some of them. So now it's really time to kind of take it to the next level. Now, small thing about Israel, some of you know it better, some of you less. Israel started as the startup nation. Really a lot of startups, more than 400 corporates today based in Israel, from Google to Facebook to Amazon and more and more. And that was around the 1990s. Then companies starting to be acquired by those corporates, and Israel became the exit nation. A Jewish mom always wanted her son or daughter to be a doctor? No, no, no. They want them to be an entrepreneur. Okay? After entrepreneurs start exiting, they say, okay, we exit a company in $100 million, $50 million valuation. Now we have the money to actually build a corporate into like the Israeli ecosystem. So from the exit nation, we become the scale-up nation. We have companies that are corporate themselves, that build by second or third or fourth-time entrepreneur, that really help build this ecosystem and also invest. Daniel, say hi. Daniel Infinigro, he's going to speak. It's our privilege to be a partner and an investor in his company. He basically brought all the top founders in Israel to invest in his company and also play support. And I think this is something that you see today and you didn't see 5 or 10 years ago. So from Scale-Up Nation, we're now become the partnership nation. And I think this is what we're doing here. Okay, who are our founders? Well, what are we looking for? First of all, we're looking for people that has a great vision and want to disrupt, even it's a small or a big industry, and change it. We were talking about disrupting industry, but we really believe this is what kind of we're good at and we want to focus at. But mostly looking at the technology, of course, looking at the competition, of course, but we're looking to work with great people. We're looking to work with great people because we invest super early and we come with a friendly new model that we will elaborate more, which is the studio model, that basically look at the company, what they need. They need tech support, they need validation support, we need to connect them to corporates, they need to build their HR. What can we, as a fund, as a new fund that also need to build our track record, what can we give them? And for that, we want to work with people. It's like wedding. We're getting married with them for 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 years. So we want to make sure we're working with the best people that we can, and we will enjoy working with them. By the way, same to our investors. We have, 35 or 40 investors as an LP investing in the fund. We were just talking about it yesterday, that each and every one of them are just incredible people that also want and help to build the companies that we invest in. Okay, so backing entrepreneur. First of all, we can't forget that we're from Israel. There is a lot of similarities between Greece and Israel. I think first of all, people are super warm and enthusiastic and loud, which is great. I feel comfortable. And we have great technologies. We have the best units in the army. We have great cyber, tech, deep tech, AI, machine learning people that are going out of the army and say, okay, now I'm going to build a company. But what we need as a small country is to think global from day one. When I build my product, the Israeli market, it's not relevant. How do I get into Europe? How do I get into the US? How do I get in Japan or China? And this is what we do. We basically took Sroi's model when he worked at Google of building different land pads around the world with partners, Viva in Europe and Greece and Zurich and London, a fund in New York, a group of corporates in Japan that will help us bring our entrepreneurs not 1 step, 3 steps closer into the market they need to be in, which obviously is not Israel. So this is kind of how we work as a fund, partnering with strong people or groups that we have alignment of interest to build our companies outside of Israel. This is Roy and myself. And I think this is the really, one of the key successes to build the right partnership. Now, partnership could be partnership from the outside, but we're looking at that as actually build the right partnership within the company. How do we really compromise each other, complete each other? Like, I'm the crazy one and he's the balanced one. Great, that's working, right? How do an entrepreneur that has a great experience in building technology needs a co-founder, a partner that know how to scale a business? And to be able to do that, you need to build a big network that will help you validate the right people that will work with the company or work with yourself. So we basically, when we built AnD, we said, okay, We don't want to be like the other VCs, which are, by the way, great, and a lot of them has an amazing success and great track record. One of them, by the way, is sitting in this crowd. Where is Tal? We have a lot to learn from you. And how do we take people like Tal, which I bugged him yesterday, you have to look at this company that I'm looking at, I need to, get your attention on that. How do we get strong people to be able to be a part of our network and help us look at companies, validate companies, maybe work in these companies because they will be super enthusiastic of doing that. And we build a network with us that are growth partners of ours that are coming from corporates or expert matters or super successful entrepreneurs, that what we do is we look at companies together, and if they like the company, they help us work on the company, we basically share from our profit. And that's a way that they want to work with us and happy to come and see companies and sit and spend their time with a fund like us. Okay, so the world is changing, it's moving much, much faster, and it's changed so much, not in the past 5 years, in the past half a year. We used to see companies, and in the last fund I was a partner in, we had 3 months, 4 months to do a due diligence on a company, putting all our resource on 1 or 2 or 3 companies. Today, it's not working anymore. You see companies, as a VC or an investor, you need to make a fast decision. If you're lucky, you have a month. If you're not lucky, you have 2 weeks. It's a problem. And we also need to move very, very fast and change all the time. Now, what's relevant for us, also relevant for our company. What we're looking at is to build a strong infrastructure of the company. Strong tech, strong core team, strong first partnership, but then at the end of the day, when you're out there, and, 3 years ago, you had the time to sit and build a product until it was perfect. And then, okay, go to the market. Not anymore. Today, you need to build your product, as I said, a good technological product, but you should be out there from day one. You should have corporates looking at your product, working with you, helping you with validation. You should have partnership that, customers that tell you if it's work or doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, you should have the agility to change it, transform it much, much faster than it used to be. Which I think, by the way, from everything that I said, this is the key to success. You need to learn how to change fast, how to offer more and more, I would say, services, but looking at a whole picture, not just one. And this is something that is super, super important, I think, in today's world. I talked about it a little bit, but the way we build our fund is that we're cool, we're smart, we, I guess, know what we're doing. Not I guess, we know what we're doing. But there are people, and there are corporates, and there are organizations that knows better and can help us, and can help our companies. This is the corporates that are based in Israel. And we're not only working with, we have about 35 corporates that are working with us as growth partners, and also outside of Israel. We want to bring our companies into validation and first traction, help them build their company, their product, and basically from that, we believe the scalability will come. And it's all about cultures and values. As been said before here, and probably will be more and more in this room, today is not just about making money. It's also what I'll build, what kind of people am I taking to work with me, what culture and value do I build that will sustain for long? Because if you have it, you have more chance to build a scale-up company that has a great team, that has a great vision, a great product, and will last for long. And this is what we're looking at, and this is what we're helping our companies to achieve. It's not just about being huge or being built. It's who I'm affecting, how many lives I'm affecting, what can I change, and it's all come from here. And we're trying to also implement it into our fund, and we basically founded AnD, which is a platform for our investors and for ourselves as well to distribute some of our profits into organizations that we partner and work with. And we really believe in that, and success needs to be shared. Deal flow needs to be shared. You need to work together with different funds, with different people, And I think Israel is really good at that. We and AnD, we established a consortium of, I would say, mini fund, like a $50 to $100 million asset under management, where we sit together, we look at deals together, we share deals, we share due diligence with the understanding that we will be smarter, we'll invest in the best deals, but also, to be honest, because everything is changed and a pre-seed or a seed round is not $500,000 or $1.5 million anymore in Israel, it can be 5 and 6 and 8 and 10 for, pretty basic product. We need to invest together. So this is also something that we do. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Let's go up to... I need to have some questions, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, all right. Excellent. That's fantastic. So you can see why we wanted to have Lee on stage early to set the energy level for the event. So, you were a tour guide.
Yes.
I was a waitress. And there was that moment where I thought, can I really have the 12th table or will I go berserk, right? And I always said, bring it on. Give me the 12th table because, I just really want to see whether I can go for it and so forth. How are you dealing with every entrepreneur that you meet that said, Lee, join my board of directors. Lee, I want this, I want that, and so forth. When do you go berserk?
Okay. First of all, I tried to be a waitress. They fired me. I tried again, they fired me. I'm so clumsy. And then I became a tour guide. So I guess you need to be a generalist in this world today. Like you need to, this is what my belief, a generalist that have people in team that are specialists, okay? And you need to say no. You need to know what your focus at, who you can really help do. I'll give you an example. We're looking at many, many companies. I think we're looking at 100 companies a month. We have quite a big team for a fund to be able to do that. And we looked at a great company, casual gaming. And I was so enthusiastic about that and about the team. And I sat with our team and we said, this is really what we're good at. Let's play. What can we add? Not a lot. And we said no, and it was very hard. It's like, listen, I want you in my board. You're great. I want you to build my company. But we didn't feel we have the right tools to really help these entrepreneurs. We're looking at companies that are product-led growth, that had a product, mainly B2B, that the product will be so good that they can grow organically and fast. And this is what we're really good at. So this is what we're focusing at.
I think you're also a closer.
Me?
Yeah. I think you're a closer. And I think that entrepreneurs have to be closers.
Yeah.
They have to be able to ask for the money. Now, are Israelis disproportionately hire better closers? Or are you? Or are venture capitalists? What's your vision? I know it's a bit awkward, but what is it about you? You chose Roy chose you. You guys are super extraordinary people. And the entrepreneurs, how do you test whether they can close and ask for the sale, whether they can ask for the money? There's so many smart people out there that if you said, go ask for the money, they would go.
You see it from, it's really important to close, and it's really important to know how to raise resources. If it's money or if it's other resources, I think it's one of the most important things that you need as an entrepreneur. It's very easy to know. Daniel did like the most furious negotiation. He was amazing. We knew this is a person we want to invest in. And they negotiate with you. They build with you the round. You know if they can raise money or not, and if they have this quality of reaching out to investors.
Any questions for Lee? Yes, we've got one in the back there, please. And then we've got Dermot, and then we have Giannis. Please, introduce yourself and stand up and share with us your question. You got to stand up. You got to stand up. Got to stand up.
No.
So he doesn't.
Sit down. You can all see me, can't you?
Simon, stand up.
Simon.
Hi, Lee. What's your typical deal size range?
Okay, so we usually invest in the early stages of the company, what we used to call pre-seed seed. I don't know what's going on anymore because everything is kind of blurred. As a fund, we invest between $1 million to $2 million in a deal with the vision of following at least one more round for the company to kind of keep our pro rata. Looking at round size that we invested in or looking to investing is between $2 million to $6 million round. So more looking at to invest at the $2 to $3 million kind of round to take half of the round or even more, but also are flexible enough to understand that stuff are changing and we need to be a part of a bigger round, and this is why we also co-invest with other funds.
So, sorry, another question if you don't mind.
Sure.
Hold the microphone.
Sorry, another question. What would you say is one of the biggest problems you have in your group right now?
The biggest what?
Biggest problem.
Problem.
Everyone has a problem, don't
sure.
they? So,
our biggest problem is time. There is an expectation today in the market to get a decision after 1 or 2 meetings with an entrepreneur, which I think it's impossible. There is more money than talent, so money is chasing after talent. So you need to really build a different offering to be able to get the talent coming to you. Yeah. So I guess these are like the biggest problem that we have. We're not going to make an investment decision after 2 meetings. It's not going to happen. We're going to lose deals because of that, but we think that with a focused small portfolio of 15 companies, really choosing them well, and also, you know, they need to choose us as well. So once it's a hit, and if it's a miss, and it's happened to us, there will be other companies. So I think biggest problem is time right now.
One last one, I'm sorry to take over. But so you're looking not just for co-investment, but you're also looking for assistance with those investments, correct? You're looking for companies to run alongside you and help you with
No, we're helping them.
No, I'm on about co-investment.
Yeah.
For a co-investor, yeah.
So Simon Carlton is
I'm not talking about the entrepreneurs
you're
funding. I'm talking about the people that you would
that
like
are investing with us.
That would like to invest with you.
Yeah.
100% yes. So first of all, when we invest, we like to ask our LPs if they want to invest with us, and sometimes we can just take the whole round if we want and if it's right for the entrepreneur. But I think best scenario for investment is to invest, hopefully lead the round, but has a strong co-investor with you that can really complete kind of your skill set in things that we don't have in our fund. So yes, definitely.
Simon runs Carlton James Group, for those of you that haven't met him yet. We got Dermot, and then we got Giannis. Dermot? Yep. Does Giannis have a microphone? Who has the microphone? Dermot? Okay.
I'll push it out.
Okay.
Thank you. Lee, thank you. You referred to military skills, obviously something which is a great asset to Israel. I actually served in the British Army 5 years, and it took me 4 years to become a civilian. So could you talk about the instant transition or not of the military skills into commercial life within Israel?
Yep. Daniel, do you mind taking this question?
Hey, sure. So I think it depends on what you exactly do in the army. Obviously, you can serve in multiple different positions, and you can get different things out of it. Depends on what you do. I think that people in Israel, because of the obligation of doing the army in general, has this kind of motivation and has this kind of mindset that gets you much mature in a much earlier stage in many cases. And obviously, depends on where you exactly served. For instance, being in intelligence corps, you learned quite unique skill sets that can obviously help you a lot. In specific fields, even specific skill sets that cannot be gotten in any age out of these kind of places. So I think that obviously you give a lot, but in many cases you get a lot out of it as well. Sure.
Thank you. And I just want to add that there is a lot of groups in Israel, if it's an accelerator, if it's alumni or different units, that basically helps you not just get into citizenship, but also build your company. Like there is tons of mentoring, investors, commodity that leads you to be an entrepreneur. It's a huge society inside of the tech ecosystem.
I think teamwork, right? Teamwork, working within teams.
A lot of teamwork, and a lot of entrepreneurs building their companies with people that they served in the army. So,
Excellent. Yes, we've got Giannis over here. Giannis, Papa Giannis, with a good friend. Please.
Yes. Hi.
hi.
First of all, I started at 16 flipping burgers, so maybe we can start a restaurant together. We have the guy, we have the waitress, we have the...
I would love to do that.
We got the whole thing.
A startup restaurant, most probably. So, what I wanted to say is back in 2019, I was for 2 weeks in Israel, in Haifa, for early stage startups course by Masav. And all the speakers, they were using 2 terms, chutzpah and balagan. Chutzpah is the audacity, balagan is the mess, constructive mess. How do you incorporate this to your firm? And how do you pass, because I know Greeks and Israelis, they have many commons, like you said, but the way that we use the chaos, which is a very nice Greek language, is completely different from how you use it.
Right.
Good question.
Thank you. So ask my mom about chutzpah. I think I was hard to raise. Chutzpah is really the ability to see a closed door and just enter up without knocking on it. And balagan is just like a huge mess. I think the ability, both are bringing confidence into your personality. I think the ability of, I don't want to say institutionalize it is the key to success, but the understanding that I have more confidence, but I still need to understand how to play the rules in the outside world. And this chutzpah and balagan during the early 2000s were actually hard for startups and entrepreneurs because they thought they know everything. They barged into open doors, and eventually they harmed themselves and harmed their investors. And I think Israel is really matured to take those 2 kind of words, and it's a characteristic of Israelis, and settle them into the right business model, which we're not there yet, but this is a good balance between understanding what you're good at, but also understanding what is the limits that you can bring it to. So kind of a combination of the 2. If I didn't have them, probably I wasn't here. So.
One last question. We got Rob Gorby here and we'll make it a fast one, Rob, because then we got Daphne. We got 2 questions. Rob, then Daphne for Lee.
Absolutely. Rob Gorby, Drive Software Solutions. Question for you. When you're looking to invest in a business, obviously the entrepreneur is the key player that you're dealing with, but how important is the team behind the entrepreneur, and how close do you get to understanding that team and realizing the role they play?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I think team is in early stages, right? We're not a growth fund. In early stages, when you basically have an MVP and maybe initial traction, the team is the key to success. Looking at a company, kind of dividing the due diligence, we look at a company, team is probably 70% of what we're looking at. The ability of the team to execute, to work together, to look at a challenge kind of atmosphere. This is the most important thing. And then you have the rest. You have the tech, you have the market, you have the competition, you have the product. But we think we have the ability to help them with those aspects inside of our studio, in our fund, and which the team, of course, we can help. But this is something that they need to be ready and build before they meet us. Most important.
Daphne, please. Last question for Lee.
Actually, I wanted to add to something that Lee said, because I think she embodies what she presented, which was the question on, kind of the Israeli culture. And chutzpah is also, I think, about understanding agility. And I think you embody it very nicely.
Yeah.
So we kind of look at it in a negative way, but the positive of it is the ability to see a closed door and say, okay, are there other doors? Is this the door I want to, just go all forward to? And to kind of look around, see opportunities, and juggle between them. And I think the way you presented what you do was just a beautiful embodiment of it. The other one was kind of the whole notion of inoculation, right? So when you grow up in chaos, right, or you're in a culture of chaos, you become inoculated to failure. And not in the sense that you just, again, bang your head against it, but you understand the term that the Navy SEALs use of fail first attempt in learning. So, okay, so you tried a door, it didn't open. Again, you know, am I going to try it again? So this whole notion of, and if change, you know, we talk about the VUCA world, so we need to have that inoculation, not in terms of not seeing the obstacles, but recognizing which ones to overcome and which not. So that led, all of that was to say, you gave a wonderful presentation, it was amazing.
She did.
But time, you said, you know, the biggest challenge is time, right? So now here, kind of, even with all these wonderful things about inoculation and agility and fail, this is a challenge that we all have to handle in all industries and with all governments and also at the macro level. So what ideas, what thoughts do you have for us on that?
You need to, and this is something I think we share, and I look up to be even more like you. You need to use your network. Every person you meet that can be relevant for your business or supporter for your business, you need to adopt. And you need to find a way to have them want to work with you and stay for longer. So I think this is the key for success. If I'm looking at a company and today I only have a month and not 3 months, I need people to look at the company as well. I need tech experts who will come and work with me. I need other VC to look at the companies. And I just need to work with more people in a closer way. Like this is, for me, the key to success. Just build a really, really strong community with alignment of interest. If you don't have the alignment of interest and they're doing a favor for you because they like you, fine. So they like me. They will help me 1 time and 2 times, the 3rd time. I'm not sure they're going to answer the phone. So I don't think that all the relationships are transactional, but I do think that you need a transactional relationship to be able to maintain them for longer. It's not just about being a friend and do me a favor, which I think it's a big part of the Israeli mentality. So lucky that I have Roy that came after 7 years from the Silicon Valley and helped me understand it.
Listen, Lee, thank you so much. It was
Thank you.
brilliant. Thank you for being on
Thank
stage
you,
with
thank
us.
you.
Lee Moser. Thank you.